Good friend of the channel reached out and asked me if I knew anything about ACE-083. Now, something sparked in my mind, and I thought, that sounds really familiar. But what I was thinking of was ACE-031. Now, this was popular in the peptide community and stuff like that about 10, 15 years ago. And from what I hear, not a lot of people got results from it, or there wasn't the right stuff available, yada, yada, the usual story, right? So I just didn't pursue it. I didn't see any value in it at the time. But this is a very interesting variation of that. Now, ACE-031, I think one of the issues with it, and correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, so I'm just pulling this out of my head, is that the half-life was too short to do anything. You know what I would be thinking these days if I heard that, but this was 15 years ago. ACE-083, on the other hand, is actually a very long-acting half-life as far as I can gather. What this study is saying is that it acts locally, not systemically, and that it works by binding myostatin, similar to what we've always thought about follistatin. This is a variation of that. This is a very advanced variation of that. So it's binding myostatin and other growth limiting regulators that would prevent that muscle from growing, and it's allowing it to happen. Very interesting. I think it has a lot of promise. I was sent a link to some of it for sale. I'll put this in one of the comments. Not a crazy price, something worth looking into. How would this go together with something like dihexa, which we know is a promoter of myogenesis, like after the fact? So it's like a recruiter of the stem cells and activates them and gets them ready. This would be on the other side of that, which would be allowing the growth to happen. So it may not be directly pushing the growth, but it's shifting that balance. So myostatin is a balancer, and it wants to keep our body like the same weight, and it's just efficient for survival. But what we're doing here is we're lowering that myostatin and allowing it to just grow. Now, if you're pushing some other myogenic producing like IGF-1 pathway stuff, some good training, and some androgen receptor stimulation, if you know what I'm talking about, whether that's TRT, whether that's high dose DHEA, whether that's actual PEDs, whatever that may be, that combination along with something like this may be, exponentially allowing those, at least at the local level, and then systemic with everything else. So that's what ACE is purported to be. If anybody has any experience with this, please hit me up. Again, I'm kind of down certain rabbit trails with actual testing of products on myself. So I've got a long list and I am behind. So bear with me, working my way through, and I've got some very exciting stuff to talk about here in the next few days about something along this lines, but from a more natural perspective. So stay tuned for that.